When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to clap back, to defend your name, to stand tall and loud and throw their words right back at them. That's human nature. We want to be heard. We want to be understood. And when someone steps on that, when someone mocks, belittles, or underestimates you, everything in your body wants to react. But there's a strength, a real strength in doing the opposite. Silence. Silence is not weakness. It is power controlled, calculated, and deliberate. It's the decision to respond without words and to speak volumes without ever opening your mouth. Because the truth is, disrespect says more about the person delivering it than the one receiving it. When someone disrespects you, they're not making a statement about your worth. They're revealing their own insecurity, their lack of character, their own internal chaos. And when you choose to remain silent, you refuse to participate in their performance. You take away their audience. You don't feed their fire. You become a wall that their words crash against and fall. People misunderstand silence. They think it's passivity. They think silence is surrender. No, silence is often the loudest scream in the room. Silence is when you have the strength to walk away from a fight that isn't worth your energy. Silence is what maturity looks like. And you have to get to a point in your life where you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstand you. You stop defending yourself to those who have already decided who you are without knowing you. You stop justifying your decisions to people who have never walked in your shoes. Why? Because it's not your job to fix their perspective. It's your job to protect your peace. There are people who thrive off your reaction. They throw words like stones just to watch the impact. They poke, they prod, they dig at your confidence, your background, your success, your failures, whatever they can reach. Not because they're bold, but because they're bored. Not because they're right, but because they're empty. And if you respond, if you take the bait, now you're in the mud with them. Now you're distracted. Now your focus is on proving something to someone who wasn't even worth your attention in the first place. Silence is saying, I don't need to fight you to prove who I am. And understand, silence doesn't mean acceptance. It doesn't mean you're okay with how you were treated. It simply means you choose your battles. It means you've learned that not every action deserves a reaction. You're not running. You're reserving. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. Sometimes it's more powerful to let time do the talking, to let your success speak, to let your elevation answer for you. There is nothing more devastating to someone who tried to tear you down than watching you rise anyway, with dignity, with focus, with your head high and your mouth shut. Let them talk. Let them throw shade. Let them write your story in rumors and lies. Because while they're busy running their mouths, you're running your race. While they're watching you, you're working. While they're discussing your life, you're building one they couldn't handle for a single day. And when the time comes, when your name is in lights, when your work is undeniable, when your presence commands respect without saying a word, they'll remember how quiet you were, and they'll realize they wasted their breath trying to shake someone who wasn't even listening. You have to learn how to sit in a room full of critics and keep your composure. You have to know how to be doubted and keep building. You have to carry yourself like a storm behind still waters. Calm, but capable of crashing. That's power. That's control. That's what silence gives you. Because the real ones, the ones with vision, with discipline, with dreams too big to waste, they don't argue. They don't retaliate over noise. They know where they're headed, and they know that where going most won't even qualify to follow. So don't let temporary disrespect cause permanent damage to your purpose. Don't let small minds shrink your greatness, and don't ever trade your peace for a moment of revenge. Let them speak. You just keep moving, keep growing, because silence is the armor of the wise. It is the weapon of the unbothered. It is the language of the powerful. There comes a moment in every journey, every test of character, where you are given the chance to either react or respond. And in that moment, Your self-control becomes the difference between chaos and clarity, between falling into the trap or walking around it like it doesn't exist. Because disrespect, pain, betrayal, they all come wrapped in emotion, and that emotion wants to be expressed. But when you learn to hold your peace, when you learn to discipline your emotions, that's when you step into real power. That's when you rise above the noise. People will test you. That's guaranteed. Not everyone who crosses your path will honor your presence. Some will push you. Some will lie on your name just to get a reaction. Some will say the exact thing they know can trigger you because your reaction is the only control they have over you. But when you refuse to give them that, when you master the storm inside instead of letting it spill outside, you keep your power. That's self-control. That's not weakness. That's wisdom wrapped in strength. See, it's easy to snap. Anybody can do that. It's easy to let your emotions speak louder than your values. It's easy to cuss someone out, to slam the door, to throw back what was thrown at you. That takes no discipline. That takes no self-respect. But to stand still while your character is under fire, to breathe when your ego wants to explode, to walk away when everything in you wants to strike. That takes a level of self-mastery that most never reach. That's the strength I'm talking about, because people think strength is in what you say. No, real strength is in what you don't say. Real strength is in what you don't do. It's in what you refuse to become, even when you're provoking. It's in the quiet choice to rise above it. Not because you couldn't fight back, but because you're too focused on your destiny to stop for every fool trying to detour you. You realize your energy is expensive and not everyone can afford a piece of it. There are times when your silence will speak louder than your words. There are moments when your calm demeanor in the face of disrespect will shake people more than any insult ever could. Because when you stay composed, they lose the power to control the moment. When you stay in control of y'all, they can't pull you into their chaos. And that's when they start to realize this person cannot be moved like that. This person is different. Self-control is choosing your battles. It's knowing not every invitation to drama deserves your RSVP. Some people thrive in conflict. They're addicted to drama. They feed off of it. And when you don't give them what they came for, they either fade away or destroy themselves trying to provoke someone who just won't bite. That's how you win, not by engaging in the war, but by refusing to show up to it. And understand something. Self-control doesn't mean you don't feel it. It doesn't mean the words didn't hurt or the situation didn't get under your skin. It just means you don't let what's going you be dictated by what's around you. It means you've trained yourself to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself, is this worth it? Is this moving me forward or pulling me back? And more often than not, you'll realize that silence, distance, and discipline are a better response than anything you could ever say in the heat of that moment. You've got goals. You've got a future to build. You've got dreams that are big to be delayed by petty distractions. So when the disrespect comes, and it will, ask yourself this: does responding help me grow? Or does it just feed their ego? Does it serve my purpose? Or does it just prove I can be pulled off track? Because self-control is a reminder to yourself, I'm not here to fight battles that don't matter. I'm not here to entertain nonsense. I'm not here to prove anything to anyone. I'm here to rise. And that rise, that quiet, steady rise, it requires discipline. It requires inner work. It requires choosing peace over pride. It requires looking at disrespect and saying, you don't get to shape who I am. You don't get to dictate how I move. That's the strength that turns heads. That's the strength that builds empires. That's the strength that leaves people speechless, not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't So when the fire comes, when the temptation to react knocks at your door, remember that your legacy isn't built on how loud you get. It's built on how well you stayed the course. You don't have to match their energy. You don't have to stoop to their level. All you have to do is stay focused, stay grounded, and keep moving. Because when you have self-control, nothing and no one can take you off your throne. When people disrespect you, when they laugh at your dreams, doubt your capabilities, and speak your name with mockery instead of honor, the most powerful response isn't a comeback. It's not raising your voice or proving your point in the heat of the moment. The real answer, the one that silences rooms and shifts the atmosphere, is success. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them cast you aside, because the day is coming when they won't be able to ignore the results you've built in silence. Success doesn't argue. It doesn't explain. It doesn't justify. It simply arrives. Undeniable, unshakable, and unmoved by opinions. While others waste time trying to tear down what they don't understand, success is being built quietly, brick by brick, in the background. That's the smartest revenge, not bitterness. Not back and forth, just elevation, just evidence, just facts too loud to be ignored. Because when someone disrespects you, they're counting on you to react. They're hoping to get under your skin, hoping to make you forget who you are. They want you to fight small battles while your big blessing is still waiting to be claimed. And if you're not careful, you'll waste time responding to people who were never on your level to begin with. But when you decide, I'm not answering with words, I'm answering with action, something shifts. You take control of the narrative. You become the proof. People don't forget what they said about you. They remember every time they laughed, every time they whispered, every time they counted you out. And that's okay. Let them remember. Let them carry that with them while you carry the weight of your purpose. Because when success walks in, it doesn't need an introduction. It speaks for itself. It walks in the room and makes leers out of critics. It exposes the ones who said you'd never make it, and suddenly they're quiet. Let them say you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not connected enough. Let them call you crazy for thinking you could break generational cycles, start something new, walk a path they've never seen before. Just don't stop. Keep working when no one is clapping. Keep building when no one is watching. Keep believing even when you're the only one who sees the vision. Because the day will come when your consistency outshines their commentary. And don't just chase the spotlight. Build substance. Don't rush to prove something. Rise to become something. Success is not about being flashy or loud. It's about being real, being excellent, being so good they can't deny you. Let your work be your weapon. Let your focus be your filter. Let your grind be louder than your gossipers. Because at the end of the day, people may ignore your words, but they can't ignore your results. And the beautiful thing about letting success answer for you is that it lasts longer than any argument. You can win a debate today and be forgotten tomorrow. But success, it leaves a legacy. It opens doors. It puts your name in rooms you've never walked into. It builds tables where you no longer need to ask for a seat because you bring your own. And those who disrespected you, they'll have no choice but to watch. Sometimes the same people who doubted you will come back and ask how you did it, not out of curiosity, out of disbelief, because they swore you didn't have what it took. They swore you'd never reach it. And yet here you are, not just surviving, but thriving, not just responding, but leading. That's the power of letting success speak. It doesn't just shut them up. It teaches them. It humbles them. It reminds them that you were never the problem. Their vision was just too small to see your potential. This is just why you don't have to chase validation. You don't have to explain your moves to people who don't even understand your mission. You don't have to post every win or defend every loss. You just stay consistent. Stay faithful to the process. Stay rooted in your purpose. Because the people who laughed at your beginnings won't be laughing at your outcome. They'll be staring at it, wondering how you made it through without ever lowering yourself to their level. You don't owe anybody an explanation when you're building something sacred. You don't have to tell them when you're planting seeds. Just let them watch when the harvest comes. Let them hear the applause they never thought you'd earn. Let them see your face on the platforms they said you'd never reach. Let them feel the weight of every word they spoke when you were still invisible. You don't need to get even. You just need to get better. And if you stay focused, stay quiet, stay grinding, one day success will speak so loudly that it drowns out everything they ever said. And when it does, you won't need to say a word. There's a reason the crown sits heavy. It's not just about power. It's about discipline. It's about knowing who you are, even when others try to make you forget. When people throw disrespect your way, mock your ambition, challenge your character, or speak on your name with no understanding of your journey, the temptation is real. The temptation to respond, to correct, to stoop. But there's a rule you need to live big. Never step off your throne to address a peasant, not because you think you're better than anyone, but because you understand your position. You understand what you carry. And people who truly know their value don't argue with everyone who questions it. They don't get pulled into nonsense just to prove they're still standing. Your energy is too expensive to waste on words that hold no weight. Your focus is too critical to detour over noise. Your mission is too divine to be compromised by people who don't even matter in the story you're writing. See, a throne represents more than status. It represents composure. It represents wisdom. It represents elevation. And not everyone can breathe where you're going. So when someone tries to bait you with disrespect, understand it's not about you. It's about their need to drag you down to their level because they can't reach you otherwise. Their only strategy is to pull you into a realm where they feel powerful. Gossip, drama, confrontation, chaos. But when you sit still, when you don't flinch, when you smile and walk away without ever acknowledging the nonsense, you remind the world who the real leader is. It takes nothing to respond. Anybody can talk back. Anybody can match energy. But when you've got a throne to protect, you move differently. You protect your peace like treasure. You protect your brand, your name, your progress, because all of it is built on discipline. You've worked too hard, ground too much, and pray through too many storms to let small people take you back to who you used to be. Every time you respond to something beneath you, you surrender a piece of your elevation. And not everything that provokes you deserves your voice. Sometimes silence it's not just wise, it's royal. Sometimes walking away is not a retreat. It's a reminder that you're not on their level. People will misunderstand you. They'll accuse you of being arrogant, too proud, too distant. Let them say what they want. You don't owe them clarity. You don't owe them access because what you're building can't afford constant interruptions. And what's ahead of you is too big to keep turning around every time someone calls your name out of disrespect. You have to ask yourself, every time someone tests you, every time someone disrespects you, does this take me off course? Is this worth my time, my energy, my presence? And if the answer is no, then it's time to keep walking, keep building, keep shining. Let your results talk. Let your growth talk. Let your glow make them uncomfortable. Because truth is, some people aren't even mad at you. They're mad at how brightly you reflect the parts of themselves they've never worked on. You're not called to define yourself to people who wouldn't understand even if you explained. You're not called to justify your light to those who've made peace with darkness. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is be unbothered, to smile like you already won, to walk like the fight is beneath you. That's not weakness. That's royalty. That's what kings and queens do. They don't bicker with fools. They don't answer every challenge. They choose their battles carefully and they never swing down. It's easy to let pride speak for you. It's easy to want to set the record straight, but the real flex, the real power, it's self-restraint. It's knowing you could shut it all down with one sentence, but choosing not to. Because the crown you carry needs stability, not reaction, because your future is calling and you don't have time to entertain the past trying to get your attention. You weren't crowned to entertain clowns. So when the voices rise, when the shade gets thrown, when the tension builds, sit higher, breathe deeper, see clearer. Remind yourself, this is not a threat. This is a test of how secure you are in yourself, a test of how much you're willing to protect your throne. And if you pass it, not with retaliation, but with grace, poise, and silence, then you prove what they feared all along, that nothing they say can move a soul that's already anchored. That's the power of the throne. Not in the height, not in the gold, not in the applause, but in the calm, in the choice to keep leading, to keep growing, to keep winning while the noise fades behind you. So when they disrespect you, when they mock you, doubt you, provoke you, remember this, your silence is not surrender. It is strategy. Your self-control is not weakness. It is strength. Your success is your loudest response. And your refusal to step off your throne is your reminder to the world that your value isn't determined by opinions, but by purpose. You don't need to react to everything. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. And you don't need to fight every battle you're invited to. Protect your peace. Guard your energy. Stay focused on your path, because the smartest response is not in what you say. It's in who you become. Let your elevation be the answer. Let your discipline be the weapon, and let your greatness speak for itself.